Now it's my pleasure to introduce Tatiana Ginzburg, who's a psychotherapist and teacher who's been passionate about knitting Russia with Americans. Was one of the co-founders of Russia House, which she and some colleagues established in the United States several years ago. And she, in the midst of this conflict, has been trying to figure out ways to bring peace. And so she exemplifies the kind of citizen diplomacy that we've been calling for some time as the war is unfolding in Ukraine and the dangers of nuclear weapons increases day by day. So Tatiana, I want to welcome you to commemorate V-Day in Europe and just share with us your vision for peace.
Thank you, Jim. So I want to share the results of planetary thinking about war and peace. Before that, I want to share a little bit about who am I in order you understand my point better. This is me. And I was born in 1971 in Leningrad. And today is Victory Day, and this is a really big celebration in Russia. So it's one of the main holidays here, and almost everyone is celebrating it in some way. And for me, it's also personally important because both of my parents was in Leningrad siege, and they lost their parents in the siege, and they've been taking, like, they've been 8 or 10. My mother was 8 years old, my father was 10 years old, and they've been taken from this Leningrad siege, and they are lucky by road of life. So for the whole life, they remember about that as a very important part of their life. And for me, the Victory Day is also really one of the main days. So I've been born in USSR, but in 90s, when I was 20, we had perestroika, and I was young enough, and I was looking for a new way of living, and I was actually looking for the meaning of life, and I found several groups. This is on the picture, one of the very mystical group, which was popular in Russia in those times. And finally, I found the guy whom I understand as a teacher, and I still very active in spiritual path. And now we created a group which we call School of Fifth Way. So in some way we continue Gurdjieff type of living, Gurdjieff style of spirituality. And if you remember, he was fourth way presenter. So we continue this idea in integrating other methods and ideas. And also, speaking about me, it's really important in my life that I created Russian House. This is a picture of Russian House. And this is California, Jenner, and it's on Russian River. And this historically Russian area because more than 200 years before, the Russians came from Alaska and created Fort Ross. So this river called Russian River. And we created a place which was a restaurant, which was cultural center, and in the same time it was very like transpersonal place, place for personal growth. And it was also frontier style of building, of business, of operating, because we don't have prices in the restaurant, and we don't have menu, so people could eat what they want and pay according to their conscience. It was not easy to stay with such principles, but we really succeeded for about 6 years. And a lot of people was moving by. It like was a regular tourist. It was Americans, Russians, transpersonal people, like simple people, very, very poor. And because we were interacting with people not as a client, but we were interacting with them as possible friends, as human beings. So we could create a lot of good relationships. And here is some pictures with the people, some of them from transpersonal psychology, some of them are just travelers. And we really could create an atmosphere, an environment where interaction between people could happen. And a lot of people just from a road help us with dishwashing, with cooking, with building, with everything. So moving towards the planetary thinking, I see, and this is my first thesis, that the path to peace is unity. And the friendship is a tool of creating unity. So we get some principles in operating our Russian house. For example, we never closed our door, almost never, even at night, even where we was absent and the house was nobody inside, but the door was open so everyone could come, get food, get rest, and get this atmosphere. So some principle like trust, closeness, openness, and creating something in common is actual sources for the friendship. And I see that this is a basis for the healing and for the achieving the peace in the planet. And moving concrete to the concrete situation, yes, that the United States created this war, and lots of people are suffering from that. So our solution, or my idea of solution, is the conscious cooperation. American people, the people who are thinking part of United States, and the people who are care for the peace, conscious cooperation with Russian and conscious migration to the Russia. When we were in the United States, in a Russian house, we helped a lot of people to adapt in California or in the States, and we was real cultural center, which helped to penetrate the cultures. So the real close communication is important for the penetrating the cultures and for human understanding. So in order to create a friendship and unity, it's important to be closer. So this is maybe fantastic, maybe utopian, but the idea that if some American people will understand it, they or you are really very welcome to Russia, and we can help you. Right now, I'm in our Eco Village. We have a place in between Moscow and St. Petersburg, and we can help you here, or we can help you anywhere to become part of Russia. And ideally, if there will be many of those people, maybe US state would not bomb the country with where many Americans are living. So the next problem which humanity is facing right now is ecological crisis. And here's just pictures from our regular practice, like those 10 days of May, we are cleaning highway. So we are very close to the highway in between Moscow and St. Petersburg. And each morning we begin with the cleaning. But it's still, there are a lot of garbage. And right now, with all this war stuff, the ecological footprint became more, because, you know, all the flights from Western companies are not allowed to fly through Russia, and a lot of Russian people can't fly straight to where they were flying. So such a big footprint happening on ecology, and ecological crisis is bigger and bigger with all these weapons, which is making more and more weapon from all the sides. So the main idea of solution of ecological crisis is basically the same, the unity. And if we can understand that planet Earth is our common home, it's not only for American, it's not only for Russian or for somebody else, it's our common home. And that's the main idea of the solution. And from like ideal state point of view, so if finally in the Earth will be just one state instead of being many states which are fighting with each other and keep the borders and trying to get more resource, that the idea of getting more and more resource for some people, it's actually destruction of ecology. So my way of thinking, maybe again ideal, but this is the main solution for the ecological crisis. But really, in order to get to all these solutions, that inner transformation needs to happen with the people. So the people who really feel unity with the planet, they can choose to clean the planet and share whatever they have. And we have intellectual club in our school, and actually we practiced this club for more than 20 years, and even being in California in Russian house, each Sunday we have this club. And we are thinking on all these questions, and we were thinking about new worldview. We read the book of James Sire, it's American Christian theologist, and he found 7 questions which put the basis of whole worldview. I would not read whole 7, but just to had an idea. So the first question is, what is prime reality? What is really real? Or the second is, what is the nature of external reality? And what is exist around us? So James created the evolution of worldview, which is on another picture, like theism, deism, naturalism, nihilism, existentialism, pantheistic monism, and postmodernism. So he get an idea that the whole humanity and as whole and some people are going through this evolution in their worldview. And when we put it on a circle chart, we understand that nihilism is a 0 point and nothing is opposite to it. So that moved us to create Da-ism, which is opposite to nihilism, and which is say yes. It's a Russian word da, which means yes to everything. And this is worldview, which is saying yes to the whole world. And this is not just intellectual worldview, it's like a way of life when you live in a way that you try to accept whatever is coming from the world towards yourself and interact with it as if it's something important. And this is just a couple of answers of our new worldview. Da-ism or Da-dzin, it's we like it even better. And Da-dzin answer in a way that what is real is everything is real, and mystery is a nature of external reality. And a human being is an ambassador of the mystery. And if you will be interested in that, you can find the other answers. So one of the principles of Da-dzin is also that the world is whole and kind. So we add like an ethical component, ethical idea to the world, to the whole, to the holism. So in sense of understanding the whole world is kind, this is a way of accepting whatever is happening. So Daism is a path to integration, both on personal and a global level. And practice, yes, is a practice of integrating the internal and external, allowing each individual to move towards integrity. We are a community of practitioners. One of our name is Homo Ludens Institute. We accumulate experience in the development of people in the context of this worldview and ready to share this experience. So this basically all shortly the ideas which I wanted to share with you, and this is a way to know more. Again, my name Tatiana Ginzburg. Here is my email. This is free website which exists in English, Russian House. It's Russian House, it's closed now, but the website is still exists. You can get an idea what it was. Enlightenment-expert, because I did a lot of work searching for enlightenment and speaking with many people about what is enlightenment. And Shiram Daism.ru, it's a website about our eco-village and retreat center here. And I also am author of a book which called Spirits of Breath, Integration Methodology, which is available in Amazon. And I am ready and would be very interested in your question if you have one.
Thank you, Tatiana. You might close your screen share. Good, thank you. Well, thank you for that very moving story about yourself and the creation of Russia House by the Russian River. That was a very poetic thing for you to do with your colleagues. I remember being in touch with you a number of years ago when that was all being set up. And as you know, the Esalen Institute did a lot of work with citizen diplomacy starting in the 1970s and 80s and continues to the present day. So there's many of us that have been actively supporting this kind of work for many, many years. And if there's ever a time where we need this kind of big thinking, like you have represented in the last few minutes, it's right now.